On November of 2011, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim was released to critical acclaim and impressive sales. This one game has sold over 60 million copies as of 2023. So that is an outdated number. It's sold more than 60 million copies. It's a genre-defining classic. It's Skyrim. But little did we know that it would now be taking over 14 years to get another Elder Scrolls game. Now, even if we're looking at the best-case scenario, it's going to take 15 years or more for Elder Scrolls 6 to finally come out. And that's if we're lucky, because according to a recent interview with Todd Howard conducted by GQ, which, yeah, I guess we live in that world, GQ is interviewing video game nerds.
I'm gonna make video games and everyone's gonna play them. Like, you dork. Go back to the chess club. Who's laughing now? Yes, I was in the chess club.
All I'm saying to that is, I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeVille, or whatever. Anyway, in this interview, he said, and I quote, "The next Elder Scrolls game is still a long way off." That is the word of Todd. Old business casual Todd in his GQ interview. The Elder Scrolls 6 was announced 7 years ago for E3 2018, and so far we have heard nothing. Nobody even knows what the name of the game's going to be, let alone what province of Tamriel will be visiting this time around. To put those 7 years into perspective, the development of Fallout 4 was done in 7 years. I mean, of course, back then they were working on Starfield, so it's not like it's been all hands on deck for the Elder Scrolls 6 the entire time, but still. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on GameRanx, we asked the question, is Bethesda taking too long with the Elder Scrolls 6? So 5 years ago, we asked this exact same question. It's been 5 years, and we know the exact same amount of things now about Skyrim's successor. It's a yes and no situation, a dream in one hand and shit in the other situation. I never understood that phrase. Why am I holding shit? Anyway, on one hand, of course, you want a game in one of your favorite series to come out as soon as possible, but on the other, there's the little Miyamoto on your shoulder saying a delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad. Well, I mean, he never actually said that, I guess. So we do know Gabe Newell said a delay is for a little bit, but suck is forever. So we're just going to go with that. I mean, that's not perfect either, because we're on year 18 of Half-Life 3 watch, but something's got to be happening on that front soon, right? Right? The takeaway here is we want Elder Scrolls 6 to be good, and we don't want Bethesda to rush it out to meet some arbitrary deadline. Still, it's another example of how games, especially these massive open-world games, are just plain taking too long to make. The gap between sequels is getting absurd. I mean, look at Bethesda's release schedule post-Oblivion. We got Elder Scrolls 4 in 2006, Fallout 3 2 years later in 2008, New Vegas, which was made by a different developer, to be frank, but New Vegas 2 years after that in 2010. I mean, to be frank, with the Microsoft purchase spree of the last few years, they have Obsidian at the ready, and yet no Fallout New Vegas 2. But anyway, New Vegas came just 1 year before Skyrim, which came out in 2011. After that, it was The Elder Scrolls Online in 2014, Fallout 4 in 2015, Starfield in 2023. You could see a consistently increasing gap between major releases as the years go by, from games coming out just a few years apart to what we're at now with an 8-year gap between Fallout 4 and Starfield. And let's be clear, Fallout 4 and Starfield aren't exactly their most well-beloved games, and you could throw Fallout 76 in there, and that's not their most well-beloved game. So we're getting longer development cycles, and the games aren't, I'm not saying that they're low quality or even that they're declining in quality. They're just not doing it for people in the way that Skyrim certainly did, and all of those games I mentioned did. But using Bethesda's own release timeline as a means to predict when the next game's going to come, it's possible that it won't be out until 2031, 8 years after Starfield, which I hope's not the case, but it would be consistent with how slowly these games are coming out now. Todd Howard, in the same GQ interview, does offer at least a little bit of hope for everyone patiently waiting. I guess they're playtesting the game. That's what they say. That implies it's no longer in pre-production. They have some kind of game that people can actually play in some capacity, so hope shouldn't be entirely lost. But when he's saying stuff like, I'm preaching patience, and I don't want fans to feel anxious, it's not hard to think that that maybe 2030 and beyond, that's not far off from reality. And if that is the case, I'm going to say yes, Elder Scrolls 6 is taking too long. It's especially concerning after Starfield, a game that took a really long time to come out, and like I said, felt like it didn't really understand the appeal of a Bethesda game. It was lacking the elements that players come to expect from their games, the unique aspects of them that make them compelling, beyond the dogshit engine that they use. In fact, the excuse for still using the dogshit engine. Like, the lack of real, satisfying exploration really hurt Starfield. It's a flawed game, it's not terrible, but it's certainly not up to what you would expect from Bethesda. The lukewarm reception and Bethesda's inability to really salvage Starfield's reputation only makes us more worried about the future of Elder Scrolls 6. I mean, they spent that long on Starfield, and it is probably their least well-beloved game. Is a long development cycle something to correlate with a lack of inspiration? Hopefully not. And of course, returning to Tamriel should fix a lot of the problems people had with Starfield. There's no space to worry about. There's no randomly generated terrain. Just another big map to explore. It's also very likely the next Elder Scrolls will do something fans liked about Starfield, which is bring back the old dialogue system instead of Fallout 4's dialogue wheel. Todd brought up how much fans did not like the dialogue wheel in the interview, so reasonable to say that's probably gone for good. Otherwise, the rest of his answers told us very little about what to expect. The rest of the interview was mostly about the Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition, and Todd honestly seemed like he just wanted to be somewhere else. It's not a great interview, doesn't make Todd come off great. It comes off kind of standoffish and out of touch with the game's development either. I don't want to besmirch the name of Todd too much. I know in the gaming industry there's kind of a love-hate relationship with the dude, but he's unquestionably talented and usually a good interview. I've seen a lot of interviews with the guy where he comes off genuine and personable, and he wants to give answers. I don't think he's at a stage where he can, and therefore doesn't really know what to do. I will say one of the funnier things about the interview is that Todd suggests it's possible the Elder Scrolls 6 will get shadow dropped, like released out of the blue without any advertising or fanfare like they did with the Elder Scrolls Oblivion remaster. So the obvious thing to do would be a Fallout 3 one as a follow-up, right? It would be nice if they would actually fix that Oblivion remaster on PC and support it for at least a little while. The last update was back in July. The game wasn't made by Bethesda, but it's a remaster of one of their tentpole games, so you'd think they'd want to support it properly for a little longer than 4 months. Recent developments at Bethesda like that and Starfield make it a little harder to get excited about the next Elder Scrolls, but who are we kidding? It's still one of our most hyped games. It's the next thing after Skyrim. When Bethesda Games is firing on all cylinders, they make games that aren't like anybody else. They just need to figure out how to do it faster. I don't think anyone wants them to go full Ubisoft with a dozen support studios working together in unison to make something that's ultimately kind of bland, but I feel like there's got to be a middle ground somewhere where it doesn't have to take decades to come up with a sequel to a game. I know it's an easy target, but come on, Obsidian managed to do Fallout 3's sequel, New Vegas, in less than 2 years, and it's considered by many to be the best game in the entire franchise. Also, 2 years wasn't enough, like, by any stretch. It was a buggy mess when it came out, but it did eventually get good, and it kind of flies in the face of the bad games are bad forever quotes I mentioned above, because New Vegas is so iconic that the second season of the critically acclaimed Fallout series, that's where it's going. It's actually kind of surreal that New Vegas has become so synonymous with Fallout culturally, whereas most of Bethesda's additions to the series lore are ignored. I mean, I don't want to undersell their contributions, though. There wouldn't be a New Vegas without a Fallout 3, and they were the ones that managed to take an obscure CRPG series that was mostly forgotten outside of a few ornery old-school PC gamers and make it one of the biggest video game properties in the world. Their contributions to Fallout, I mean, they can't be understated. I'm just saying that New Vegas was a success. It was made very quickly, and a good game doesn't necessarily have to take forever to be good or memorable. In fact, most of the most memorable games of all time were made in under 2 years. Let's be serious about this. A lot of the old NES and SNES games had like 1 year development cycles. Between 1990 and 1995, we got all of the classic Sonic games. Between 1987 and 1997, we got Final Fantasy 1 through 7. Now, I am not saying that these games are as complex as a Fallout, given all of the various things that go into making a 3D, hyper-responsive RPG with lots of different dialogue choices. And it was between 1994 and 1997 that Square was working on Final Fantasy 7, which is multiple years. But I'm just saying, Obsidian did Fallout New Vegas in 18 months. And then, over the course of several years with patches, it was fixed, but still, more than the bones were released after 18 months. Now, obviously, the Elder Scrolls are always Bethesda's baby, and they're most protective of it, so I doubt they're ever going to let anyone else play in their playground, so to speak, other than the Elder Scrolls Online, but that's a very different thing from any of the mainline Elder Scrolls games. I don't think we're ever going to get a new Vegas of the Elder Scrolls, so to speak, at least not from other developers, but at this point, would it really hurt if they went that route? There are a ton of incredibly talented people in the modding community making entirely new continents to explore and entire total conversions using their game engine. Maybe they think too many games would dilute the brand, but for me, I'd just like to see another Bethesda-style game come out sometime this decade. Obsidian is out there making their own things like Avowed and the Outer Worlds too, and as much as I might tell you that in a lot of ways Obsidian out Bethesda's Bethesda, it's not the same exact thing. They don't have the scope of a proper Bethesda game, which, depending on what you're looking for, might be a good thing, but sometimes you just want the controlled chaos of a Bethesda game. That's what makes them interesting. It's cliche, but it's true. For as much shit as we all give to Bethesda, there really isn't anybody like them in the industry. Their games are special. There's nothing else that mixes in-depth RPGs with massive open worlds and elements of immersive sims in the way they do it. That's what makes their games so compelling and what makes us want more of them. I think at this point, it's getting really hard to say they're not taking too long with Elder Scrolls 6, because damn, we're all going to be old and arthritic by the time the game actually comes out. But ultimately, all that really matters, even now, is that the game is good. That's really what matters. At the end of the day, it's a question that doesn't really matter anyway, because it's not like saying that it's taking too long is going to make any difference with that. If anything, it'll just encourage Bethesda to take even longer. You know how they can be. What do you think? Leave us a comment. Let us know. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. We'll see you next time right here on GameRanx.